Hey babes, it's Sharon Isadora and welcome to Brazen Babe Reviews. So during this video I will be talking about two books. Those books will be Truth or Dare by Danielle Allen, and the other book I kind of came across all of a sudden after I finished Danielle Allen's book, and I finished it and I was just like, wow, amazing. So that book is The Rose That Got Away by Christina C. Jones. So let's get into this thing, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to talk about The Rose That Got Away first, which is out of Christina C. Jones, not Connecticut Kings, but what is that series? My memory is freaking terrible. It's her High Stakes series. But these books are kind of like branches off of that series. The Rose That Got Away, we have another Rose that has made a life outside of being in the garden. So I'll read the blurb to you, which is really short, and then I'll give you my thoughts on this book. So a rose abandoned in the desert, she made a vow she'll never go back to the way things were. A promise that was easier to keep before a thorn showed up. So in order for you, what I would highly suggest, in order for you to understand what's going on inside of these books that are coming out of the High Stakes series, I would read Deuce's Wow in that series so you can understand what a rose and what a thorn is. But my thoughts on this book is, I love this, so I loved it. But I thought it was a great book. It's only 91 pages. It's a real short and quick read, and she tells us the story of another rose that has gone on with life outside of being an assassin. And this particular rose is working, or she now currently owns a garage where she fixes cars, and she comes across this thorn. So the life that they previously had, you had these male and female assassins. The females were roses, the males were thorns. So while this thorn is just, thinking Tamara is her name, is just thinking, she's going on with her regular life, and this dude comes up, asking to get his car fixed. And they could tell who the other person is because of these particular tattoos that they have. Roses, the roses have actual roses on, on their person, usually on their back or something like that, little small rose tattoo. And the thorns actually have a thicker thorns tattoo around their forearm or something like that. So Tamara sees this thorn. She thinks he's after her because that is the way they were kind of like, trained. Like if you see a thorn, if you see a rose or a thorn, you don't particularly know if this person is there to kill you or be your friend or help you out or something like that. But because this organization that they were part of is no longer operative, you have all these folks that are just out in the world, and they don't, they were all, some of them were out on missions when the organization went down. And now, if they run into each other, they don't specifically know if they can trust their former co-workers. You know what I mean? So it goes on like that. So you have Tamara. She currently owns this garage, and she comes across a thorn named Wilder. And Wilder doesn't know who Tamara is. Tamara doesn't know who Wilder is until she sees the tattoo on his forearm, and shit kicks off from there. So the story kind of like takes off from there. And what I loved so much about the story is not just the action, because I love action type reads. Like, she gives us fight scenes, and you know, she gives us a little bit of, you know, a murder plot that is going on, and we don't even particularly know who's trying to murder who or who murdered who. Like, we don't know. So I like that she kept that going throughout the story, and for such a short amount of pages, she did a really good job of keeping us invested inside of the story. But what I like so much about The Rose That Got Away was the relationship that builds between Tamara and Wilder, because it's essentially they don't trust each other because of what they came from. But Wilder is on a different path. He works for Alicia. If you read Deuces Wild, you'll know who I'm talking about. And he's not in the game of hurting or harming people anymore. He's in the game of helping people, you know, with him, by him working for Alicia. So I like the relationship that builds between Wilder and Tamara, because Wilder is trying to get Tamara to come on their side, and Tamara's just like, fuck that noise, I'm not doing it. Y'all ain't get me caught up in this bullshit no more, you know what I mean? But the relationship between them, you know, it goes from this kind of like, I don't trust you thing to maybe I can trust you, to, you know, I do trust you, you know what I mean? And I just like the build up between them. She says this isn't a romance, and it's not. It's a building of what could be a romance between Tamara and Wilder. We do have a romantical sexual scene between them or whatever, but I like that Christina C. Jones left the story off as a happily for now. I'm really kind of like digging these kind of stories now, because we have these two people that have so much of their past to unpack and try to make lives outside of what they were, you know, and succeeding at it. And, you know, just them two coming together and just figuring out, you know, do we want to do this thing or not? Same thing I felt like how she did with the reinvention of the Rose. Like, she did the same thing with that, even though we had more of a romance with the reinvention of the Rose. With The Rose That Got Away, you know, it's kind of like, you know, a relationship that is a work in progress, and I could dig that. It's a really great story. It's action packed. Christina C. Jones is one of those authors for me that has just like a really funny ass sense of humor. So you're gonna have some cackles inside of this book as well, especially the things that go on between Wilder and Tamara as they come together, because essentially Tamara's just like, you know, like I said, she don't want to be part of it, but the situation that happens, you know, involves two people that she, you know, she starts to care about a little bit. So she puts herself into a situation to try to find out what's going on. Excuse the noise. Living off the highway. Good, but but like I said, it's a really great story, really short read, like quick like that. I finished it because I really couldn't sleep last night, so I finished it like 5 o'clock this morning after I finished Danielle Allen's book. I was about to say Danielle Steele. What the hell is wrong with me? But it's a really great book. So if you're looking for a quick read, that's, you know, that's just going to get you through, where you're going to have a good time with, definitely check out The Rose That Got Away. But she also has this particular story, The Rose That Got Away, as a podcast and on her YouTube channel. So, you know, if you want to hear it in voice, you know, go subscribe to the author's podcast in her YouTube channel, and you can also hear all of this in voice as well, which is doubly awesome because I listened to all the episodes that she has for this book, and it's great. But it was really good seeing it in book form, because I didn't even know that it was in book form, and I was just like, oh my god. So it's available on the Kindle Unlimited library. You can also purchase it, so I purchased it as well because that's just how I am. So that was The Rose That Got Away by Christina C. Jones. Definitely check it out. So we move on to the next book. All right, so the next book is Truth or Dare by Danielle Allen. I loved this book. saw when she put out her initial, promo saying that the book was going to be published, and I was so excited. I love Danielle Allen. She is just like one of those authors that does it for me. She writes awesomely well done Black romance. Just give you these very intense and just like, these kind of like well-rounded stories. But in Truth or Dare, it was so freaking good. I'm going to read the blurb to you, and then we'll get into my thoughts on Truth or Dare by Danielle Allen. So, here we go. Once upon a time, not long ago. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so here is your blurb. With all 9 of my best friends reunited for a destination wedding, I was not surprised someone suggested that we played Truth or Dare. The secret exposing truth in the harmlessly fun dares bounded our close-knit friend group in college and kept us close throughout the years. So when Kingston Wright was there to kiss me, I didn't think anything of it. Harmless kisses were always a part of Truth or Dare. But there was nothing harmless about that kiss. I felt something between us that I shouldn't have. Truth or Dare can be risky when you're 20, but when you're 30, it can be reckless. So that is your blurb. So the 2 main protagonists in the story is Kingston and Simone, and they are at their friend's destination wedding. All of these folks have been friends since they were in college, and they all unite some years later for their friend's wedding. 2 of the friends in the group of 9 are getting married. They were like a couple since college, and they're finally getting married and stuff like that. So they're at this island for this destination wedding. They have always played Truth or Dare, and on the night before the festivities kick off, the crew plays Truth or Dare again, and Kingston and Simone kiss, and there's more to the kiss. Everybody notices more to the kiss, but they just try to play it off as, it's just whatever, it is what it is, that type of a thing. This is really a great read. I loved it. I love the actual conversations between Simone and Kingston throughout the read, because what they were doing is that they were still playing the game throughout the story, right? They would do texts to each other, Truth or Dare or something like that. Even when they were in front of each other, they would do, like the Truth or Dare game with each other, just to build like this kind of like tension between them, just like a romantic tension and a sexual tension as well. It was really great to read on page. What is going on around my area? So so they were really great characters on page. I loved them to death. Also loved the side characters in the stories, like just having like their group of friends there, and everybody just kind of like not really like ragging on each other about these 2, if they were going to be together or not. First it was kind of like we see something, and with them 2 playing it off, everybody was just like, oh, whatever. And it was like, it was just great to see like this whole friendship between all these Black folk on page, and it was just done in a really positive light. There were really like no issues, except towards towards the end of the book, but we'll get to that. So the banter between Kingston and Simone was just really great. It was a great way to build up what would become a sexual relationship between them while they're on this vacation, to them trying to figure out, what they're going to do forward. Are we going to make anything out of this, or are we not? Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So the banter between them was just really great. And they never really disrespected each other, even after they slept together. They had their general questions, to and towards each other, but it was never anything done disrespectfully towards, either one. Now, the issue that pops up is because I told you, I'm not going to tell you guys too much, but because I told you that when Simone and Kingston initially made this kiss and, you know, they just kind of blew it off, you know, a situation arises where someone is trying to hook Kingston up in it, and it kind of like causes this kind of like issue that when you get to the end of the book, you just like, I didn't even see that coming. Like, I really did not even see that coming. And honestly, that chick, the bride's sister, let me tell you something. She would have been on the floor, especially with that half-ass apology. Like, you made a huge-ass mistake, and that's what you do? That's how you apologize? Yo, people can get it. Like, I understand her situation and where she came from, but listen, some of you, people gotta learn how to apologize. You know what I'm saying? Look, I was wrong. I fucked up. Da-da-da-da. But don't come apologizing to me with no attitude. You can take that apology and shove it straight up where the good Lord don't put no sunshine, honey. So, it was a great read. I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, I love the chemistry between Kingston and Simone. And I think the author did a really good job of fleshing this story out and getting us to enjoy this story for exactly, you know, for what it was. It was really a well done story. And just like the game of truth or dare that was just played throughout the story between these characters, in between, you know, the side characters as well, because this at the beginning, this was kind of like a group thing. Like, even at the end of the book, you know, after the wedding, you know, the crew got together, they were still, you know, kind of like playing truth or dare. So I really like the idea of that, of them like playing this game throughout the story, and how this kind of like game, you know, kept their friendship, you know, because when you're playing truth or dare, you know, a whole lot of shit can pop off, you know, and it could ruin relationships and stuff like that. But I like the fact that all 9 of these friends were still able to play that game, you know, rather it was truth or dare, and still, you know, be able to maintain their friendship. It's just really, it was really a great read. I just loved it. But Danielle Allen's writing style, it always has been good to me. Like, I love like how she just incorporate these you know, these real life themes inside of her story, and just make it just an enjoyable read. So that's it. That's all I got. I feel like if I stay on here much longer, I'm going to be telling all of the business about the book, and I don't want to tell all the business about the book. Both books are available in Kindle Unlimited. They're both available for purchase. You can go do either, but I highly recommend you read both. And that's it for me. Until next time, later days. Bye.